Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Director of Digital Content at Black Enterprise, Ida Harris.
Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. You know, those moments to recharge and build our sisterhood are just as important as the sessions themselves. It is now my pleasure to recognize the sponsor of today's luncheon and the Conversations That Count session. Please welcome the Vice President of Strategic Relationship Manager, Mid-Large Market for Manulife, John Hancock Retirement, Renee A. Nolen.
Good afternoon, women of power. All right, thank you. What an honor it is to be with you today. On behalf of Manulife and John Hancock, I am thrilled to welcome you to our event today, Conversations That Count, From Ambition to Achievement. At Manulife, our purpose is simple but powerful, to make decisions easier and lives better. That mission guides how we support millions of customers around the world, how we invest in our communities, and how we create spaces where all colleagues can lead, grow, and thrive. We live that purpose through our 5 core values. We obsess about our customers, we think big, we get it done together, we own it, and we share our humanity. These values are deeply aligned with the spirit of the Women of Power Summit. When a community of leaders comes together, shares truth, and pours into one another, we create momentum that transforms careers, industries, and generations. Our long-standing partnership with Black Enterprise reflects that same vision. From our Money Moves That Matter digital campaign, to being the inaugural sponsor of BE Global at our Toronto headquarters, to our sponsorship of the Excel Summit. Our work together has highlighted stories of financial empowerment, career mobility, and leadership. Collectively, these efforts expand our opportunity and ensure that voices and perspectives shaped by a wide range of backgrounds and experiences are helping to shape the future. And that is exactly what today's conversation is all about. We're sitting down with leaders whose journeys embody ambition, resilience, and excellence, women who have not only broken barriers, but built pathways. It is the resounding theme of who we are and why we are here. Ladies, please enjoy this dynamic conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. And thank you, Manulife, John Hancock Retirement. Now, let's move on to Conversations That Count, From Ambition to Achievement. Today, 3 distinguished legacy honors, past and present, have come together for a candid and inspiring conversation. They are here to share the lessons they've learned, the challenges they faced, and the choices that shaped their journeys. And ladies, these aren't just highlight reels. They are real stories, the kind that remind us that success is built step by step, often through setbacks, risk, and resilience. So let's get ready for an insightful conversation. It is my honor to introduce former CEO of Metric Stream, advisor and author, Shellye Archambeau, Director of Boards of BNY, Mellon Mutual Funds, and CBIZ, Bennie Wiley, and serving as our moderator, Chief Partner Officer at American Express, Glenda McNeal. Please join me in welcoming these remarkable leaders to the stage. Shellye, Bennie, and Glenda.
Good afternoon. I know we got the coveted spot of after lunch, so I promise you we will bring an engaging and inspiring conversation. We just ask that you bring it back to us. We need good energy. I know you had a nice, good lunch. So we're going to get started. because we've got a lot to talk about, because we're going to talk about the space between ambition and achievement and what actually closes that gap. I feel both very honored and privileged to not only be sitting next to two women who I have admired and who have inspired me over the years, but they're trailblazers, and it's such an honor to be able to have this conversation with the two of you. They built influence in very different but very powerful arenas, and so we'll hear a little bit about their careers, but going to leave you with some really great nuggets of ways to manage your career based on their own experience. Shellye, who literally wrote the book on being unapologetically ambitious, and Bennie Pratt, who has shaped leadership pipelines and boardrooms for decades, will share their experiences with us around leadership, around ambition, and achievement. So we're going to start with some quick questions, instinctive answers. What's one word people use most to describe you? Bennie.
Oh, the thing I hear most is that I have grace.
Grace, I love that. Okay.
Planner.
Planner.
No surprise.
Okay, no. Butch just called me subtle, for those of you who know me. Just kidding. I'm correct. I'm correct. What's the leadership skill no one talks about, but every leader needs?
Intentional listening. It's an important skill.
Mm-hmm. Demonstrating that you care for your team and the people around you.
Mine would be vulnerability, being able to show the sides of you that make you human and approachable. Okay, biggest myth about successful women.
I had a long list for this. But the one I chose is that we never doubt ourselves. And that's not true.
Absolutely.
We just persist.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other is that we do it all, and we don't. We have a lot of help and a lot of support.
And I guess mine would be we have to work twice as hard. And while that's true, in some ways, we have to be twice as resilient, because there's a lot of struggles along the way as you try to close the gap between ambition and achievement. So one of the things that's true about success is that people actually see you at the pinnacle of your career, which we're witnessing today, and they rarely see the inflection points. So it would be interesting to take us back to the early days of your careers. When was the first moment where you realized your trajectory was shifting? And would you say you chose that shift or that it chose you? Bennie, we'll start with you.
Okay. So I helped to build an organization in Boston called the Partnership. But when I first went to the Partnership, that's what really changed my trajectory, because I had been doing consulting and entrepreneurial activities. It gave me the exposure and visibility. It also allowed me to really, really hone and develop my leadership skills in a way I hadn't been able to do before. So it really shifted what I did for the rest of my career.
So it chose you, kind of.
It kind of chose me.
Yeah, which is great.
But I was ready for it. So it's somewhere in between.
That's great.
Yeah.
Shellye.
For me, it was when I had the opportunity to become an interim chief of staff for an executive. So did I choose it or it chose me? The job chose me, but it was one that I absolutely was coveting, because I knew that would give me exposure to move into the executive ranks.
So one of the things that's important is, what I'm hearing you say, is that it's really important for you to be ready when these moments happen, right? And so being able to continue to be prepared and take advantage of the opportunities that come before you.
Absolutely.
So Bennie, last night we talked about the fact that you were one of only 28 women in a class of 800 at Harvard Business School. You've led institutions from the inside, but you've also built infrastructure to actually elevate others. Where in your journey would you say courage mattered most, particularly when you were in the minority?
I was going to give an example.
Yeah,
where it was. On my first public company board, which I was fortunate to be on at a younger age, it was just at the time when there had been a lot of scandals in boardrooms. Mm-hmm. And actually the federal government had passed a law called the Sarbanes-Oxley law that required governance in directors to be more careful about their actions. And I chaired the governance committee, which was a new committee for that company. And I had to make a decision to leave because I had questions about the transparency of the company and some of the decisions that were being made. And the reason I said it took courage was because it could have prevented me from being invited to join other companies and certainly other public companies, but it was definitely the right thing to do for the company, I believe, as well as for me in terms of my own integrity.
That's great. And Shellye, you've broken barriers in a space not only that's been a challenge for women, but definitely for men as well, regardless of race, by being the first Black woman CEO in Silicon Valley. Where did courage show up most for you? Was it the risk you took or the visibility you carried?
It was all about the risks. It was all about the risks. And I will tell you that courage, as Bennie talked about, courage is a muscle. I really believe it's a muscle. So the more risks you take, the more challenges you take, and you realize that, oh my God, I didn't die, you actually start to build up the confidence that you can take the next risk. And so for me, it was all about taking risks, surviving those risks, learning from them, and then actually taking more. So my whole career was taking risks, whether it was getting my first sales job. Oh my God, I'm gonna get paid only if I sell something. Moving my family to Japan for IBM, and quitting IBM, a company that I'd spent all these years, right? Taking over a company that was very broken when I became CEO of MetricStream. I mean, all those things were risks. But I think you learn the most when you're in environments that give you the most challenge.
Do you feel as though some of the work that you did at MetroStream, because hearing it last night, you really had to rebuild that company. Was there a particular risk you took that you think kind of transformed how you led going forward?
Yes, we completely changed the value proposition. So I was brought in to take a company that built software that was trying to automate workflows, and that was good, except nobody wanted it. So I had to figure out a new value prop, which means we were changing completely into what became governance, risk, and compliance, but a space that frankly hadn't been coined yet, and that people and analysts weren't actually naming yet, but there was a need that I found in the market that I thought we could indeed address. So that was a huge risk to get the company and the team to believe that we could do this thing that nobody else had done before.
That's great. So let's talk about success and ambition. You know, many people define success in very different ways, but to be truthful, we probably all define it differently at different stages of our career. So how did you define success early in your career, and when did that definition shift? Was there a moment in time where you really felt as though the success that you'd been striving for, you'd really arrived at?
Yeah, so for me, early on, honestly, it was about the roles. Okay, I'm in sales. I want to be a sales manager. I want to be a director. I want to be a general manager. It was all about getting the titles and the roles. And then as I was working through this, I realized that where I actually got the most joy was not just getting the role, which was wonderful for the day I got it, but the lasting value for me was in creating the impact on a team, the impact on people, helping others grow. I mean, that was sustainable. So it really morphed from being all about what roles I was getting according to the plan to really who was I impacting? What organizations was I helping to build and to scale? That's what really felt rewarding.
Bennie, you want to talk about it?
Well, I would say the whole definition of success evolved for me as I evolved, not just as a professional, but also as a person. Early on, it was the roles. It was how were you able to take the next step in order to advance in your career? But over time, it became more holistic, and it was am I making a difference? Who am I impacting? How does this fit into my life? So when I was at the partnership and I would counsel younger professionals and we would talk about career choices, I would always say, no, we we need to talk about life choices and think about how does this decision that we're discussing that you think that you want to make is going to impact all of your life, because that's really what's going to give you the gratification over time.
I know I don't look it, but like I've been at American Express for 37 years. I'm just kidding. But I have been there a long time. And I can recall, and I'm sure you guys, it's true for you, you know, it's the next promotion or the promotion was achieved. You know, your increase in compensation was 10% as opposed to single digit. You know, it's getting to lead. And I think what has been true for me in where it mattered most in terms of defining success is finding the thing you're most passionate about that then translates into something that you're really good at, and then being able to leverage that to not only build people around you, but actually have what you believe to be a lasting impact. So what you're hearing is that success does get defined at different stages, but the soonest you can get to a place where you feel as though you're doing something you really, really love, you're good at it, so many other things kind of fall by the wayside. I know it did for me, and it sounds as though that's true for you.
It gets your adrenaline going. When you feel good about what you're doing and the impact you're having, it gives you the energy and the adrenaline to keep going.
Yeah. And that then translates into confidence, right? And confidence is a great trait to have. It's a practice, however. So success does not come easy, right? Particularly in your case where you've both been pioneers in the work that you've done. What's the one discipline that you refused to compromise on? Shellye?
Well, the one discipline personally was exercise. I would always, the hotel I was staying at, I don't care how cheap it was, it had to have a gym. I needed a way to exercise and burn off all the challenge and frustration and everything else that was going on. So for me, it was absolutely exercise.
And I can attest to that because Shellye and I was fortunate to serve on the Nordstrom board with Shellye. And I think it was during COVID, right? We were all on Zoom, and she was too, but she was walking on her treadmill. She didn't care. She's like, I'm getting my steps in, and she did that on a regular basis. So that is a true statement. Bennie?
So I thought of that question a little bit differently in terms of how I analyzed it. And I thought of the kind of leadership disciplines that were important. And the one that, integrity is the one clearly that, you know, comes to your mind first, but composure. I think a good leader needs to maintain a discipline about being composed at all times. Whomever is reporting to you is looking to you for direction, but they're also looking to you for guidance around remaining steady. And it's really important when it's around high-stake conversations that people start looking at the leader, and the leader needs to stay composed at all times.
That's a very important point. At American Express, I initiated this thing called the personal challenge, where you actually identify the one thing this year that you really want to work on, and share it with people, build a community around that so that you can kind of really focus in on that. And mine is exercising greater patience in high-stake moments, right? Because in those moments, you know, I can get a little emotional, maybe. I can get a little fast-talking and sharp, and and that does not allow for engagement, right? It kind of shuts people out. And so it does, it also impacts outcomes. And so knowing that, having that sense of self-awareness in that moment, I think is very important. So I share that because I think it's important to, you know, think about that point, because it's not always discussed, right? It's not always pointing to composure.
Yeah, if I could just add to that, Glenda.
Yes, please.
One of the things a mentor shared years ago with me is, Shellye, just always remember, things are never as good as they appear, and they're never as bad as they appear. So your job as a leader is to make sure, to Bernie's point, that you just always kind of stay in the middle, because everybody's looking to you to determine how they feel. And if they see you getting either nervous or even just getting overly excited,
Yeah.
then they do too. So everything gets exacerbated one way or the other, and neither allow for the best productivity, right? The best productivity is when people are actually calm. So.
And in those moments when I'm not so good at it, I practice lots of grace. So there's a lot of grace in my life because you don't always get it right. And so you have to give yourself that space to not always get it exactly right. So Shellye, you've built a framework around ambition in your book, Unapologetically Ambition. You argue that ambition isn't accidental, it's intentional. So what do women consistently underestimate about what it takes to pursue ambition unapologetically?
Let me tell you a quick story.
Yeah, please.
Just to share this. So
Your time.
Here I was at IBM, I don't know, I've been at IBM probably about 4 or 5 years. And I was doing well, I was getting good reviews. And there was this really strategic project that was coming out that people had all kind of whispered, heard about, et cetera. And I was really hoping that I would get picked because I'd done well, I was good reviews, right? I should get picked. Well, they come out with the announcement of who's on the team and I wasn't picked. And I was like so bummed. And I said to my boss, I said, you know, I'm really disappointed. I thought that based upon my performance, blah, 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 I would have been chosen. And he said, Shellye, I had no idea you wanted to be part of this task force. Well, never let that happen again. The biggest thing that you need to do is make sure that people know what you want. They cannot read your mind. They can't read your mind. So if you want something, you need to tell them. And it doesn't mean you walk around saying, hey, I want this and I want this and I want that. I mean, no, that doesn't work. But you can let people know either, you know, one day I aspire to be able to do X, or if there's something happening, I'd really love an opportunity to contribute to Y. Let people know what you want. And you'd be surprised when you do, they tend to try to help you, especially if you're good at your job.
So Bennie, you've observed ambition from the boardroom perspective. What do you think differentiates ambition that is respected versus ambition that is dismissed?
So the core responsibilities of a board member are duty of care, and what's the other one? Duty of loyalty, thank you. And what that means is that you always have to be thinking about what's in the best interest of the company. So being ambitious for the company is well respected in the boardroom. But the minute the other directors think you're being ambitious for yourself, then you're disrespected. I have an example. I chaired the governance committee for another company that I was on, and we had instituted a new rule around offboarding directors. And one of our directors, who happened to also serve on the governance committee, was going to be the only person affected by it. At every governance committee, he raised this issue because he didn't want it to be offboarded from the board. And it really hurt his reputation. So clearly we didn't change our position, but it hurt how he was perceived by his colleagues because he was making a decision and he was trying to push us to make a decision that would benefit him but not necessarily benefit the company as a whole. Yeah. So that's when you get disrespected.
Right. So in simple terms, it's kind of like respect is really about credibility, right? And when it's dismissed, it's because it's ego-driven, right? And we've seen that many, many times. We probably have all had that experience where you wonder why someone has as much ego as they have because it's unwarranted. I've had that experience a couple times. So
a lot of times.
A lot of times, exactly. You know, we have to get to the conversation around some of the hard lessons because it's easy to reflect back on all of the wonderful things we've done and we've learned from and all of the wonderful leaders that we've had and we've learned from. But sometimes there are harder lessons that we experience and you have to find a way to get through them. When you were the only one in the room, Bennie, how did you ensure that standing apart didn't diminish your influence?
I've been in a lot of rooms where I'm the only woman and the only black person because, you know, I've been around a long time. And to have my voice heard The primary thing I have done, and I actually still do, is I really develop relationships with the other board members and clearly with the CEO, so that I start having allies, particularly among my board members, so that when I'm saying something, somebody may also have a perspective on it and then join in. But also, you don't always have to make your point within the boardroom. You can make a lot of progress by having these, what I call sidebar conversations with your allies that help you to be effective in the boardroom.
And that's true not only in the boardroom, it's true in your career at work, right? I've learned that over the years because my way was I hear it, I respond to it, you react to it. I've had a couple bosses say, not everybody wants your feedback. And my reaction is, but everybody needs it, so. But I've learned to modify. There's such a thing as modification for good. But it is important, right, to be able to, timing is important, and we've heard that all through our lives as children, right? It's not always what you say, it's not always what you say, it's how you say it and when you say it. And so it's proven to be a very valuable skill to actually know when to say it, who to have the conversation with, whether it's inside the room or outside the room. Sometimes you want it inside the room because you want to be provocative,
Yes.
you want everybody to kind of
Yes.
debate and know where you stand. And other times you want to be able to build an ally by kind of giving your point of view and then have more people come back in the room, sharing your point of view. And I think that's a very important part. Yeah. You have anything you want to add to that?
Oh my goodness. I think I think Bennie said it well with regards to here's the issue we face. I also want to add about feedback. If I could just add about feedback.
Please.
You know, many times when we hear the feedback, we sometimes take it, a lot of times we're defensive. But here's the key. As Black women studies show, we don't get all the feedback. Mm-hmm. So I want to encourage you to actually pull for the feedback, because the feedback that's not given to you is what's holding you back from getting to that next step. So when you get feedback, fine, take that, but then always probe to see if there's more, right? No matter how you feel about what you just heard, always say, thank you, I really appreciate it. Is there anything else that I could be missing? Or if there's an area where you think you might be challenged or anything, but I'm just telling you, if they tell you you're doing fine, do not believe it. I'm serious. We all have areas that we can improve, and we don't get all the feedback we should, so you have to pull it.
Yeah.
There's research that shows that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm telling you, because that's what's holding you back. You're like, why am I not being promoted? And you're not being told why not. So you have to pull it so you can fix it and then move forward.
I think the other thing we don't do, and would love to get your perspective on, is that we don't always say what we do. We don't give feedback to our leaders about how we show up and the contributions we've made. And so it's not, I grew up parents telling you, you don't tell people what you do, you don't brag. There's a difference between bragging and stating facts, right? And so stating the fact that this is the impact that I feel I've made this year, this is what I think I've done, and therefore I want to be recognized for that and compensated for it, and so what do you think? And so let them give you that kind of feedback, right? Because I think it's important for you to advocate for yourself, right? That's personal leadership, that's leadership that you see in all spaces, right? But it is important to get feedback, but also to put yourself in a place where you are recognized for the work that you do. Okay, so as part of success, right, we've all made some shifts, and I think there are some lessons that we've had to unlearn in our lives, right? Whether it's a belief about yourself or your potential that might have been shaped out of either expectations or conditioning, was there something in particular you had to actively unlearn, Bennie?
Probably a lot of things. Yeah, and I said it a little bit even in the question about the myth about successful women and that we never doubt ourselves, of feeling that I earned to belong in the room that I was in. Just because, not because somebody said it, but because you have this imposter syndrome that might affect you. So kind of learning to let go of that and to take pride in what your accomplishments are, and being able to express what your accomplishments are in a way that others also appreciate it, I think is something that for me, I've been constantly learning over time.
That's great.
Yeah, mine really came down to advocating. I gave the example early, I didn't ask for what I wanted. Well, the other was, I wasn't doing a great job advocating for myself in terms of letting people know what I actually did, to your point earlier, Glenda. So one of the things that I learned to do, and here's a tip in terms of for all of you, you say, well, how do I tell people? I can't just walk around saying, look at me, I did this, I did that, I did that. But people give you an opportunity all the time. They ask you how you are. Mm-hmm. When they ask you how you are, do not say good, do not say fine, do not say great. Don't say it. What you are is, I'm excited. We just closed the biggest deal in all of the Western blah, 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 blah. How are you doing? Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. The team spent 2 weeks putting together this major proposal for such and such, blah, blah, blah. How are you doing? I am just so thrilled because blah, 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 right? Don't tell them good, fine. Tell them how you are, but tell them why. And make sure every morning you wake up and you have your why. There's always a why. You've done something, your team's done something, something has happened that you can share, that when people say, how are you? You can tell them. And all of a sudden, you're advocating for yourself, and you just answered their question.
Great advice.
Great advice. Great advice.
Great advice.
So I'm going to ask a question that we probably didn't discuss, but it was raised last night, and I think it's something that allows people to understand that you're building this career, you look successful, you've done great things, and it's been hard. But life's been hard too, right? And sometimes you get thrown some things, some unexpected consequences, or situations that you didn't expect. Your video said widow as one of your characteristics. Your video said widow, right? And I'm a widow. So you have 3 women, right, who have achieved some level of success, but have also had one of the greatest losses that you can ever imagine. And I think in our case, because we've had unbelievable partners, right? So I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about the one thing that made a difference in your life because of your partnership, but also how you get through something like that in your life. And I hope you don't mind me asking.
No, I don't mind you asking. I'm probably the newest widow.
She's the newest one.
About a year. The first part was how the partner,
Supported you. Was there something in particular? I mean, I know why. I mean, the man was amazing.
Well, he was my partner. I mean, you used the word partner. He was my partner, and someone that I knew I could, seek counsel from. I knew would give me honest advice, that I knew was my greatest cheerleader and all those things. I can't think of any one thing. I'm sorry.
No, I want that. That's not one. It's...
And what was the second part? How am I dealing with it now?
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm doing well because I'm making myself do well. And that's it.
Yeah. Shellye.
Ditto. Partner, biggest cheerleader, all of those things. And I think the thing that I learned the most from Scotty's my late husband, the thing I learned the most from Scotty was early on that I was good enough and I was just fine. And I know that sounds super simple, but I'll never forget I lost this big sales deal at IBM, big, and it was embarrassing because everybody, the whole region, everybody knew about it. They thought it was going to be great. The customer changed their mind, and all of a sudden, I'm like the biggest loser, right? And I'm feeling like a loser. And 4 days after it happened, I come home. How are you doing? How do you think I'm doing? Terrible. And he said, Shellye, the mourning period is over. He said, you are the same person you were 4 days ago, before you found out about this deal. Do not do not let what happens to you define who you are. You are fine, you are good, just go find something else to sell. Well, I know that sounds super simple, but I will tell you, that's the way he was throughout our entire career. You are good enough, right? Do not let what happens to you define you. You are you, and that's good enough.
And I think that's powerful. And I ask the question because I think it's a way to honor the relationships that have been built, that have brought you to where you are. And I would say, for me, the greatest lesson is perspective. There's life before and there's life after. And they're different. And so you just have to, whatever your circumstance is, you have to find a way to build a new life for you and your family, and you have to find a way to remind yourself, never forgetting, remind yourself the good that life has brought to you. So we are so good. I'm right at 0, and I now get to open it up for questions.
Thank you.
Hello. Hi. My name is Cynthia Suber. I am here with United Health Group. I work for the Optum Home and Community side. Thank you for the conversation. I wanted to hopefully gain some more tips on how to essentially overcome the imposter syndrome that you were speaking about. Just more so, how do you convince yourself, right, that you belong, right? That self-advocacy piece is important, and I appreciate the guidance that you gave on that, of how you can brag on yourself, right? But even coming up with the right words to say kind of gets choked up in that imposter syndrome. So again, any tips that you can give on how to overcome that?
Mine?
Sure.
So first thing is, remember, you only feel it when you're facing something new, right? It's only when you're facing something new. So just realize that the new opportunity or the new job or the new role, they wouldn't have given it to you if they didn't think you could do it. So try to put that inside, right? And if that's not good enough, remember that you always figure it out. I mean, look at your past. You always ultimately figure it out. So give yourself the benefit of the doubt. You're going to figure it out. And if that doesn't work, remember those cheerleaders we talked about? Now it's time to call. Hey, girl, right? What am I doing here? They'll remind you. So try those 3 things, and then look in the mirror and tell yourself you are good enough.
Yes, thank you.
Great.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Kimberly Hill. I am a program manager at Google. Shout out to the Googlers. I love it. So all of you have mentioned that keeping your composure is vital to being a leader. And as someone who's passionate and developing her career and going out throughout her life, for those of us looking to strengthen that muscle, is there like a mental exercise or a pressure test that you've used to get better at it, controlling your emotions under fire throughout your career? Because I'm a passionate individual.
So
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, take time.
But go ahead.
Yeah. So I would say you take time and take a breath.
Yeah.
You don't have to respond right away. You don't have to act right away. You want to make sure that you're in control of your emotions before you speak, which is not always easy, but I do think that's what you have to do.
One of the things I do is I actually pull back. I speak more softly.
You do what?
I speak more softly.
Okay.
That was good. She has jokes. Okay. And I think that it reminds me to kind of, relax. And I think it changes the tone in the room.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. One other thing you can do is, instead of reacting to what you just heard, ask a question about what you just heard. By asking a question,
Powerful.
it causes you to think about what question you can ask, which will then cause you just calm down.
I like that. I like all of it, actually. Thank you.
You're welcome. Keep the passion.
Hello, ladies. Hi, Glenda.
Hey there, how are you?
Good. I'm Candy Carter. I'm the CEO of Sistis Media. That is a startup company that you guys will be hearing a lot more about, so watch out for us.
All right.
2 years old, all women. Let's go.
That's great.
But here's my question for you. So I'm a longtime media person. I work for big media companies, Disney, Warner Brothers, all the different companies, and pivoted naturally a couple years ago. That was a blessing in disguise. Every single day I get an email or I see something on LinkedIn from somebody who's lost their job. We know what's happening with Black women in this country. Inside corporate America and outside corporate America, what is your advice for us women of a certain age who are just getting pushed out, let go, and really trying to figure out what's next? The pivot is real.
The pivot is real. You're absolutely right. The key is you have to get super focused. Super focused. And what I mean by super focused is, all right, fine. I'm out of whatever job it was I was doing. Do a skills assessment. Look at what is currently out there that people are hiring. Because people are hiring. Yes, there are jobs that are being eliminated, but companies still are hiring. Look at what's being hired, look at your skill set, and figure out how to craft your story and your message. Because women of a certain age, you have a lot of experience and you have a lot of skills. And many times it's just how we package what we've done to match what people actually need. Because believe it or not, leadership, and these women can attest, leadership is something at most companies, it's not the strong suit. No. It just isn't the strong suit. So there is an opportunity for you. But get focused, make that map, and then leverage your network. And make sure that everybody knows what you are looking for specifically and what you bring specifically. Because it's the specifics that they remember and that they can apply to something else.
And when you reach out for help from your network, be real clear about how they can be helpful so that it's not so high level that no one knows what to do. So do the work to figure out what they can do to help you to achieve what it is you're trying to achieve, and really tap into the relationships that you have. You're going to have your inner circle, but you need to expand the circles and really, it's like peeling an onion. You know, you just keep meeting with one person and another person and another person, and letting them know what you're interested in and how they can help you.
That's right. And one last thing, I know we're out of time. Everybody you meet with will be people in your network. The key is getting to their network.
That's right.
So what's your last question you always want to end with is, who else do you think it would be helpful for me to speak to? That's how you get into other people's networks.
With that, I need to thank you both for such a great conversation. And thank you, and enjoy the conference. Thank you.
Thank you.